Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. How is everybody? We got lots of action on YouTube. Juicy, Russell, Gary, good morning or good afternoon, whatever time it is over in Australia. Colin, hello. You got a new desk set out for delivery? Do tell. Who else we got in there? Is that it? A lot of stuff going on there. Someone named, graved. Yeah. What's on the bench today? Twisbees? No, no Twisbees today. 7 a.m. All right. Very good. Guess I got to do the math. I guess it's, 6, 5 plus 17. Huh? Wow. Wow. Yeah, no Twisbees today. We got a couple things. I did promise. So we're gonna do that first, and then we've got leftovers from yesterday. I suppose we're gonna have to sack these up and test these. We got a couple Skylines. That is a good question. Does Australia have more than one time zone? I think it's only one time zone, isn't it? I really don't know. Gabriel, hello. We got an Esterbrook, 2 Skylines, and then we're going to test. We got an Aurora, we got a Schaefer Stylus, a Parker 75, and a Vanishing Point that we are going to take a look at. And then those are all consignment pens. Those are done. And that will move us forward, because I just got contacted from somebody who has about 150 piece collection that wants to wind down a little bit. So there may be, well, there's always more pens, but there may be a large number of pens coming very soon. So we shall see. You have 3 time zones. Okay. I guess, I mean, it's a big continent, big country. So it's Thursday. Yeah. It's already getting ready for me to, I would be at work already. So, busy day here today. Holy cow. Lots of orders to ship. And then I had a training session on this new inventory management software that I've been raving about. And, I won't say I learned much, but I guess, they weren't going to discount me the $2,000 for the training, because I already know it. So I said, well, you know what? I'm thinking I'm going to waste your time if you're going to charge me anyway. So I sat through an hour and a half of that when I could have been doing other, more productive things, but I guess I learned a few things. So I guess that's good. All right. What else we got? Anything else cooking around here? I don't know. Tomorrow's our last day of our stream for the week. Podcast on Friday. That's all I got. So let's look at the bench. And this is courtesy of my cat Max. I think it was Max. There used to be a real nice little loop on here, with the little wooden bead. And my orange cat Max decided it was really fun to chew on, so there's no longer a bead or the rest of the loop. And this rolls around, and you originally could have stuck the bead through the loop and it would have held it nice and tight. But anyway, so I brought something in for Gary. Because he asked yesterday nicely about, have I heard of a Waterman's Torse? I don't even know how to pronounce it. That tells you all you got to know. Torsade. Don't know. I have no idea. There we go. Let's do this way. So this is for Gary. Gary was asking about Conklin military clips on a crescent. So here's your standard clip. You can see how it's raised off the body. And then when you press down on it, it lifts up so you can put it in your shirt pocket. Pretty simple. I love this style. A couple of modern brands, occasionally you'll see a clip like this. Very easy to use. You can see the wear actually on this, which I love. That somebody actually used it enough to wear the gold fill down. Which is super cool. So this particular example is, what is this? A 3NL. So that's the standard. If there's going to be a clip on a Conklin Crescent, that's the clip you're typically going to see. So the question yesterday was, what is a military clip look like? And that's it. So let's see if I can zoom in a little closer here. So it says Conklin, got the patent date on it. It's right at the top. It's real short. There's nothing up here to grab onto. It just tucks in your shirt pocket and sits real low. Let's see. This one happens to be. This is a 2NL, so a non-leakable. I need a number 2 nib. So anybody got a Conklin number 2 nib? I need one for this guy. Otherwise, a really, really nice looking pen. Nice chasing. Interestingly enough, this here is probably where there was a price band. You can see that kind of discoloration. So this one I haven't actually had on the stream because I don't have the nibs. So, but you can kind of see. I mean, it's a different, much higher up. The pivot on here is right there, as opposed to being there. So if I've got, can't see it because I gotta. I mean, it sits really very low. It would very much be covered by the flap of your pocket, but is otherwise nearly identical. So Gary, if you're still with us, that's what you're looking for. You have the standard clip, yeah. This is pretty from my limited experience, and quite honestly, I've only really been maybe seriously collecting these since like maybe this year. It has sort of totally been on accident. You almost never see these. So, yeah, if you do, grab it because it's cool to find. So, a little bit unusual. And I'm trying to think where I got this. Don't even remember. So, that is the difference. Not as easy to get in and out of the pocket, but it sits down there. I mean, this is super simple. But you can even see why that would not pass muster, because you can't, how much different it sticks out over the top. You know, this is actually further down than, say, a Schaefer military clip, which really runs over the top, and you could actually shove it down actually a little bit further. But with the flap, it would probably still be okay. I mean, well, this isn't really a shirt pocket, but it would still be fine. But this doesn't allow you much, because this is, well, it's a terrible example. Terrible example. You get the idea. So there it is. Conklin 101. You will be hunting for one. Yeah. Yeah, you should. They're cool. Hopefully yours has a nib, unlike mine, which, all right. Let's see. I'm going to put this away so I don't forget it. Hang on, I'll be right back. All right. Yeah, I need I keep saying I need like um a side table or something here, but I'm sure I'm just gonna muck it up with extra stuff. So you just sent me a picture of the Waterman, also a picture of a Schaefer desk set that you saw on eBay. The computer is being very slow. Let's see, where did you send it? Well, it will it'll show up somewhere. All right, so here's what's on tap today. Fingers crossed that my hello address. Okay. Oh, there we go. Let me take a look. Yeah, that's a weird later Waterman, isn't it? French, probably. Looks French. Wow. Now that's a big Schaefer. Holy cow. All right. Well, I'd definitely get in trouble for that. I actually don't have. I think I've got 2 Schaefer desk sets, and that's kind of where. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. That's kind of where I needed to stop. I don't. I almost got into trouble in Ohio because. Hey Jason, yeah, it is quite a variety of pens. I almost bought like 4 or 5 desk sets from Cindy Reppert, and I felt bad because I told her the night before. I said I'm coming to your table tomorrow. I'm buying like 4 desk sets, and something came up, and I had to. I couldn't. Something came up, and I had pens that I had to buy elsewhere, and I had no money left over for that kind of nonsense. Um, and the one I really wanted, she had sold, and I ended up actually finding it on somebody else's table without the trumpet, but in better condition. So I bought that one, and then later on, ironically, in the group of pens that I was saving money for, I got another Schaefer desk set with a trumpet that I can put on the other one, but I got to figure out how to take the trumpet off. So yeah, I've got like two Schaefer desk sets, and that's kind of, I don't need any more. Because I actually, what I thought about doing, and I'm going to do this since I'm starting to go to more shows, and I've been, screwing around a little bit on eBay, not terribly much. I mean, I used to spend back in the day, I had searches set up, and I would spend 2-3 hours a day or more, looking through like literally almost every listing that was on eBay. Now, this was before a lot of people started doing modern pens, brand new list price, that kind of thing. I really think that eBay not having a fee for listing has really screwed up the search. Now I'm sure, now people put up thousands of listings, and it's it's no fee until you sell, but the selling fee is bigger. I mean, I'm sure it's beneficial to eBay. They wouldn't do it, but it's not been beneficial to me because I just can't. And they don't give you the flexibility to really create a query that eliminates all the crap. You know, try to come up with a query to search for Esterbrook pens that does not include any modern Esterbrook. I mean, you can only go so far. And you might even get thrown up on, the word Esty. You might have somebody who, I mean, we used that term before the modern model, the modern pen came out. We called them Esties. So, you can't eliminate the word Camden to get rid of the model Camden. JR maybe. There's not a lot of those out there anyway. So it's hard and painful to look through eBay. And on the phone, I find the search function on the phone very difficult because when you have a search set up and you click on it, it only shows you the most recent items in that search, and then you have to back out of the search and come back. To see the rest of the items in that search. Good afternoon, Indy. When you first started looking at eBay for pens, it says, yeah, there were a lot of new modern pens, but that is not as much as it used to be. The word vintage misses loads of pens. Yeah, and it's, what are you going to do? Now, thankfully, yeah, it has to do with how the seller has the pens listed, also with keywords. Thankfully, if we use Esterbrook as an example, most, and a lot of your good stuff, your discoveries come from people who are clearing out estates or whatever, not from pen collectors. Most people are going to use the term Esterbrook. They're not going to use the term Esty. So there's probably a few false positives there. But, and when you're looking for, if you're looking for something that you're trying to find something that slips between the cracks, there are Esterbrook desk sets that aren't marked Esterbrook. So some of the early ones, they would have been marked on the felt, but of course, after, over 80 years, the felt is worn down and you can't see the imprint on the felt anymore. You locate good sellers, save them, and revisit them from time to time. Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of strategies, right? So if finding Esterbrook desk bases is what's the search for that, right? Because it most likely, in some cases, I don't care whether it's got a pen or not. And half the time you see desk sets, they don't have the right pen anyway. Sometimes you come across when a pen has been listed and they goofed it up on it where it's listed with keywords, so there's no competition in winning it. Yeah. I mean, you get that. But like I say, I used to spend at least 3 hours a day, every day. And what I would do is I would go through. You found a DB322 that wasn't listed as it was listed as Art Deco something. Yeah. You're thoroughly tired with Parker Vectors almost fresh out of the blister pack being marked as vintage. Well, I mean, see, that's the problem with the word vintage, because the vintage requires another term. I mean, it requires, it's only part of the equation. It's vintage what? I mean, vintage requires a year. If you really want to be specific about it. The one with the ridges, not the plain stuff. Yeah. So the old 322. Yeah. Now the key is what is your vintage by now? Yeah. I mean, I'm getting there. Every day I kind of, Lisa asked me the other day. She says, "Well, how's your shoulder doing?" I said, "Well, I said every morning. It's like it's making noises. It cracks. It pops. He's like, is it supposed to do that? I'm like, I don't know. Um, are there sites better for pen people? No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, um, there used to be. What the heck was it called? There was an auction site, a pen. Somebody out there would recognize it. You got It Depends in the early '90s. Vintage for you, for me, then is younger than some of the pens I bought that are now. Okay, yeah. Um, Vintage is for me then is younger than some of the pens. I'm missing the translation on that, but I think I get what you mean. Yeah, yeah. So I know. I mean, you got It Depends in the early '90s. Yeah. So for me, it was not quite that. Yeah, it's the word salad. Yeah, thanks. For me, it was '98 when I started. So yeah, I'm in 28 years now. Um, Vintage for you is younger than your kids. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one way to look at it. It's always a moving target, isn't it? Um, North American pen auctions. Yeah, no, there was another one. What the heck was it called? Jason, you might know. It was, and they sold it. And actually, for a brief period of time, like more than a day, I thought, you know what, I need to buy this. Um, what was it called? Pen Bay, not Pen Bay. It was something. There was an auction site for pens, and I bought a couple pens off of it, but it wasn't very successful. It was not very well traveled. And the fact of the matter is eBay is so huge. It's got a monopoly on the market, on the auction market, and people are always going to sell on eBay because that's where they sell all their stuff. If you're an estate clean out person, you're not gonna go around and look for, a specialized pen auction, a specialized doll auction, a specialized tool auction, or whatever else you buy on eBay. Um, yeah, it's gonna bother me. I can't think of it. If Hanzo's here, he would know. He would mention it. Maybe he would. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's my gripe on eBay. You know, the modern stuff. I mean, and I was guilty of it too for a while because for a very short period of time, um, I integrated my website with eBay, and it was actually modestly successful because I could push product on the website to eBay, and when it sold, it would take it off the website, and that was pretty cool. Except when they took the money out for the sale, it was not cool because it was, like I just leave it on my website for a little bit longer, and I'll get all the money. You know, you bought a '70s era Parker 45 in the early '90s as your first vintage. Your first Safari is now older than that. Yeah, I still remember. My first SJ. I bet I didn't pay $12 for it. Um, my oversized balance was $38, believe it or not, and it worked. And I had no idea. I mean, I didn't know anything about restoring pens. I bought them, and I hope the heck they work because I didn't know how to fix it otherwise. Anyway, desk sets, love them. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to compile a list of desk sets that Esterbrook made, and I'm going to start ticking those off. That's my. You would take 10 oversized balance at that price? Yeah, I up every day, $38, black two-tone nib. So I'm gonna make a list, check it twice, and all the bases, regular and dipless, that are ever cataloged. Because it doesn't matter if they're not cataloged, because I don't know too many people that have non-cataloged desk bases. Actually, I don't know anybody that has any non-catalog disc bases. They're pretty much. I mean, there's the English, the UK versions are all over the board. I'm sure there's a catalog somewhere of those out there. The dipless, primarily dipless. They made leather covered ones with calendars and all sorts of crap. You want to find one of those deluxe bases? The David Isaacs, I doubt it. He abhors Esterbrook. And to this day, I think he still thinks that that's the only thing that I collect is Esterbrook. It's actually we had dinner once with Richard Binder, and we were discussing, I forget what it was, Waterman or something, you know. And I collected Waterman at the time too, overlays and things like that. And he kind of shut me out of the conversation. Well, you just collect Esterbrook. Go over there. Like, what? Okay. Yeah, he doesn't. I guarantee you, I've seen more Esterbrook than he has. I guarantee you. So not to be. Just, I'm still a little sore on that whole dinner. Yeah, you just collect Esterbrook. Okay. Anyway, you have some spare pens around somewhere, so I can put them in the desk bases that I collect because I'll buy them. Yeah, he's a Parker and Schaefer, and I mean, you know, he collects a lot of things, and that's. But one thing he doesn't collect is Esterbrook because it's you know it's. Yeah, capital L. Yeah, deluxe. That's right. Yeah, I mean, you know, and nothing, you know, whatever, nothing against him. I know he'll sell pastels from time to time, but he doesn't waste his time on Esterbrook's. Yeah, Parker and Schaefer. Yeah, so deluxe now. Which ones are you talking about? Are you talking about the dipless, the like the double deluxe dipless and the like black and white marble? I guess there were singles too. Yeah, I mean they have to be dipless because I don't think I'm trying to think now. Um, their actual bases were kind of restricted to for Model W desk pens, lever fills were pretty much restricted almost exclusively to 8 balls, 112s, 116s, and then like the 113, 114s, and then later on there were the black ones with the metal trumpets, and I don't have a catalog in front of me, so I can't remember what those are. Those were the 41, 42 catalog shows a glass base with the squared chrome holder. Oh man, do I gotta go look for this now? I can't remember. I should remember this. Somewhere I've got it up here. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. I have way too many things open at the time. Let's see. Okay, let's see if this. I don't know why I have such a hard time trying to figure this out. Ooh, Chrome Esterbrook. Yes, yes. Okay. Why is it not showing it? I don't know why. It's not showing. I wish this would be easier. There we go. Oh my goodness. Let's see. So this is 4142 catalog. From the PCA. So we're going to have to scroll all the way down past all the dip pens. Scratch knife. Push pencil. Model B. Nope, you got a Falcon nib there. And this is where we see the J model for the first time. This is a terrible, terrible catalog copy. But here's your J. VisuMaster. And the Pushmaster. I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen. You can't see me point at the screen. There's all your tips, including... Interesting that this has the 9000 and the 3000 series nibs. So the 3000 were pretty much on their way out at this point. There we go. Okay. Glass base with squared chrome holder. So you got your DB111, which is unusual. You've got the rib up the top of that 322, which is awesome. That's the best version. And you notice that the 113 here also has the rib, but the 112 doesn't. Now this is 112 with chain. Yeah, CDB, C for chain. Oh, these here. Yes. Okay. So, yeah, let's talk about this. There's a color scan on the PCA site. Yeah, okay. I just did a quick search. These, to my knowledge, I've never seen one ever. Just thought about the auction site. Was it GoPens.com? No, it wasn't the Pen. GoPens was Gary Lair's site. Pen Market, no. Pen had some kitschy name onto it. I can't remember. I'll think about it. Yeah, these deluxe sets, never seen one. I'm betting they're not marked anywhere except for on the bottom of the felt. The good news is there's only 4 of them. The bad news is there's 4 of them. You don't get the Esterbrooks models yet. Yeah. Anybody finds one of these, let me know. I'd love to have one. You find all 4. I mean, I love the double. The big double with the pen rest on it. That's awesome. This is kind of a holdover from the dipless sets with the base. So this 211's got a pen rest on it where the 212 doesn't. And the 222's got... Yeah, I mean, what do you search for if there's no name on it? And very likely never to be pens in it. And by the look of it, it's got the early, and because it's early, it's got the early ring that doesn't have the word Esterbrook on the ring. So yeah, I need those 4. There's 4 that I need. Let's not talk about cases. The pencil case would be awesome, wouldn't it? This one would be neat. Actually, all of these are really cool. Let's see what they got for dipless. Got any dipples? Dipples are probably way at the end. There we go. So they got the 407s, 427s. Death sets are us. Yeah. Oh, they still have the 401s. Nice. They don't have, yeah. So 401, mahogany, walnut, green, black with the red top, black with chain. And then they have them with the base. So here's that same thing. But these only came in walnut, mahogany, and black with chain. And then there's 3 422s, the big guns. So what are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 404. Okay, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's 13 of these wells. The 404 here is, I don't know why they didn't bother to show it. It's kind of like a 407, but it's kind of slimmed down. So it's really not with these 3. So what did I say? There's 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, it's 13 of those. That's a tough set to get, all 13 of those. And gray in the 427, I don't know that I've ever seen one. Yeah, what is it? That's going to kill me. I mean, if you don't know it, I don't know that anybody on here is going to know it. I can't remember. So anyway, that's so there's a lot of good death sets in this catalog. To get every death set in this catalog would be really a feat. And even on the 407 side, these ones in the upper left here and the doubles here, to get these in any color other than black, you'll see them in maroon. You might see them in walnut, and those colors are pretty close together. But gray and green, I don't know. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen one. Yeah, you got a 407. I bet you it's in black. I put money down on it. Anybody's got a gray or a green 407 or 427? Let me know. Yeah, it's black. There we go. Ding, 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 ding. I mean, I would go so far as to say a gray 427 is harder to find than like the 401. You bet you can paint it. Yeah, I bet you can too. Anyway. All right. Get me talking about desk sets. At least will kill me. Desk sets are us. All right. Find my stuff. All right, let's get cooking on this stuff. Now that we've wasted 45 minutes talking about Esterbrook desk sets on eBay. You have a few Esterbrooks, so you decided to keep them, collect them. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun little challenge, even if you go with like collecting all the colors of the 8 balls. What are there, 6 colors, something like that, 5, 6 colors, and then getting them in the small size. Throw the chain in there just for fun as an extra. But and then the 444 is getting all the colors in those in both styles. And then they made them different over across the pond in Juicy's territory. Whatever differentiates a 447 from a 444, I can't make hide nor hair of it. Richard Binder and I have gone have butted heads on what the difference between those two are, and I can prove that there's It makes no sense what a 447 is. We used to think it was a plastic base instead of a glass base, but that's not the case because there are 444s with a plastic base, and I believe there are 447s with a glass base. Anyway, what do we want to do? These are probably all dry. Let's just assemble these and make a little bit less visual mess. Keep it out. So yeah, I'm going to work on the complete list of Esterbrook desk sets to the best of my ability. We're going to hold off on this one. I'd like to get a Friday. I'm getting my breather tubes in, so Monday we can mess with that. It's just too short. I mean, it would only fill to. So we're not going to do that. Maybe to make things easy, let's just test these ones that are cartridge converter fillers. Or converter fillers, I guess, we can get those off. Yeah, you ever find those Esterbrook Deluxe? I'd love a picture. If you find one, you don't want to sell it to me. Send me a picture of it so I can see what it actually looks like. If there's any identifying marks on it whatsoever. I've got to search for desk sets, but it's mind-numbing to sort through. And thankfully, there are really no modern desk set makers, so the search is entirely vintage. It's. Platinum's got one. Yeah, it's really kind of chintzy, though. It's really chintzy. I mean, have you seen it? it's not something I don't get why you would make such a cheap desk pen. And do they actually make a holder for it now? Because they've got that goofy cap that I know Nokia makes one, but you're not gonna find a Nokia desk pen. They make a black and they make a burgundy. Platinum does, or they used to. But it's a chintzy gold plated steel nib, and I think it only comes like in fine or something goofy. Like I don't want to find platinum nib. I mean, I get it, but. I understand the amount of capital it would require to make a desk base or a desk set is a lot. If I have a desk set pit up in my garage, I can barely get in my garage. My garage has such a steep entry angle that I scrape the rocker panels of my car every time I drive in it. Yeah, it's nasty. And my car's my car's low to the ground, but it's not that low. compared to other cars I've seen. The new ones are just preppies with tapers. Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it. Yeah, they're very fine. Yeah. The garage is where I hide the desk sets from Lisa. You ever Waterford crystal base with the cheapo ballpoint? Yeah, and that's kind of what that's kind of what the platinum desk pen kind of is. Seems to me, it's like it's a huge disappointment. Like, oh, cool, and it's priced right. It's like what, $20 or something like that. Well, this isn't right at all, is it? I mean, I tried to convince Lisa once that we should get them and bring them for the store, but that discussion ended quickly. There are very few people have the same passion for a desk base as I do. So, I mean, and I didn't want to start collecting. I mean, vintage platinum would be cool. There we go. Well, it says it's a medium nib, but it's a little softness to it. So yeah, and so now with the discovery of the Esterbrook desk set number 1, I'm scouring eBay for that. And the thing is people aren't going to know what it is, so it might sell for real cheap, but you just got to find it. There we go. Got a little bit of spring to it. Pen bid. You with me, Jason? Are you still there? Pen bid. That's what it was called. I knew I'd think of it. Did you ever bid on there? I bought a couple of reliefs on there once, and one time I bought a relief 2L in blue marble. I don't know why I remember this. I was a little chapped because the guy said, and he was an author, and he said if you buy every one of his sales, he's going to include a copy of his book. I don't read a lot, but his book actually looked interesting, and well, cool, I'll read that. Another pen collector, I'll support that. He never included the book. Got the pen, it was nice. It was nice enough, but I never got the pen. And is it blue marble, or it was blue and looked gray or something like that? I don't remember. Pen bid. I don't know what happened to it. They sold it, and somebody did buy it, I think. Somebody look that up while I'm cleaning this pen. That was early 2000s. Because I could actually still see, I can remember the conversation I had with a coworker who was a little bit of a pen fanatic. A pen, modest pen collector. He's also the one that told my now ex-wife, hey, did you see Brian got a pen for $750? eBay. It was that guy. Love you, Pete. It's all good now. It's all good. Yeah, pen bid. What not to do? Was a nice stylist. Really nice. Gold filled. We got a couple of these left. I had a grouping of about 5 or 6 of them. I put them on the website, and I really didn't talk. I was going to talk about them on the podcast, and I don't think I did. And I put them up, and like all but 2 of them sold right away. Well, you'd probably pay 15, $20 just for a working original push button converter on one of these. And basically, it's just a latex sack and a pressure bar. I mean, it operates just like a dual fold. But it's one push, and it compresses the whole thing, and that's all you got to do. Let's see. That was one push. Got to kind of give it a little bit of a, got to wait a little bit between the press. You got a great lifetime Imperial. You resack the converter in. I never had real good luck trying to get the crimp off. You got to undo the crimp without totally destroying it. I just don't have the right tools or patience, I suppose, for doing that. But I don't get rid of them. So I've got a whole bunch of old Schaefer converters, including some push buttons that don't work. Little crimps aren't super deep, so it wasn't too bad to pull apart. Okay, did you just get in there like with a little pocket knife or something? That's probably what I would do. I'm not sure which Aurora this is. We got any Aurora collectors out there? It's similar to an 88, but it might be like an 8. Is it 88? 88-ish, we're going to call it. It was real inconsistent. It needs a little more juice. There we go. Yeah, if you can get them open, it's basically a resack job. And what is it? The Schaefer Aerometric, the Schaefer squeeze converters with the red end use a like a silicone sack, and the ones with the black end use a latex. I think that's how it goes. So you got a better chance of succeeding. If your converter's got that red end. Never had the red one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think the red one is the. Oh, we can look. We can look here in a second. I'm sure I got one. This nib is like really. Here we go. The phone's ringing. I wonder if they got those Esterbrook Deluxe desk sets. You ordered the Penman Sapphire? Yeah, it's iconic. It sure is. Well, this converter does not work very well. You intend to sell it on? Well, if you've never used it, take a syringe and fill a cartridge with it. At least then you get the idea of what's going on. Okay, well, it does fit, interestingly enough, it fits a Parker converter. Aurora converter is kind of interesting, though. Okay. This is the ballpoint too. I should see if that's doesn't work. Let's see if I've got a almost refill on this. Oh, oh. Oh, yeah, baby. Nice. Now that's a usable pen. I bet this can be filled similarly to how those retro refills are filled. Although my the last one I did, my pen dried up extremely quickly. Let's spin these out. We'll get them out of the tray. Dilapidated. Hey, I can finally use this for the vanishing. And Hans isn't even watching. He's not even watching. Did you just age yourself using the phrase the bee's knees? I think my grandma used to say that. Maybe my mom. It placed you for sure, yeah. Keep getting a reflection on my glasses over here. And I keep thinking, so I've got on my screen, I'm on the left side of my screen, I've got Twitch running. On the right side, I got YouTube. And I keep seeing some flicker on my lens, and I keep thinking it's somebody in the chat on Twitch, but it's not. I don't know what's going on. So if I keep flicking off to the left, that's what's going on. So this is a good day. A Parker converter fits the Aurora, and an Olmos refill fits the Aurora ballpoint. Leafy Greens. Howdy, do you have something of a starting kit for vintage repair, like general cleaning solutions or common tools for someone totally new to restoration? All right, so first thing we're going to address is cleaning solution. The cleaning solution you want is water, cold water. Yes, I do sell pen flush, but you really need to know. It's one of those things that you need to know when to use and when not to use. I don't have a starting kit for vintage repair, really. I sell a lot of sacks, and I'll sell sack kits that have multiple sizes. So if you're not sure, because the best way to size a sack is to see how it fits in the barrel. And there's not really a measurement for it. I used to ask people to measure the pen, but it really doesn't work that way. Measure the section. How vintage is vintage? Well, you know, if we exclude Eagle and early Waterman cartridge pens, anything that's pre-cartridge, I consider would fall under the vintage category. That's my opinion. But you know, what I recommend for people who are starting out in vintage pen repair, I cleaned up that tray nice, didn't it? Is you're gonna need shellac, and it humors me because I offer amber and clear probably outsells amber shellac like 2 to 1. And I for the life of me, I can't figure out why people buy the clear. And why do I say that? I say that because clear actually has a very specific use case. If you have a pen that you're sealing something where there's a transparent barrel where you're going to see, because amber shellac will dry amber color. If you're putting a sack on a section nipple and it goes inside the barrel, who cares what color it is? But people buy clear because it dries clear. I like bulb fillers. You know, that's where, you know, if your section is threaded and you're threading onto a clear barrel, that's where you want clear shellac. In fact, I've got a 51 half demonstrator sitting in the back that I haven't finished up because I actually don't have an open bottle of clear shellac because I never use it. But you need amber shellac, you need talc. We have both of those. I do recommend a hemostat if you ever have to take a J-bar out. You need a hemostat or put it in. You know, and some sacks, and that gets you most of the way there. You're gonna need, and a couple other things you'll have at home. You need a pair of scissors, or a razor blade, cutting board. You know, and an Esterbrook here is the perfect example. We'll do this one right away. Let's set this one off to the side. Because they're super easy. Super easy. Microgloss polish is always nice. I like 5. I do sell 1, which is even finer. That's what you use after you use the 5. Use the 5 first, and then 1. I use a lot of 5 here on the stream. Are calipers helpful for measuring sacks? No. They are not. And the reason I say that is, let me get a sack. Hang on. This is the correct sack for this pen. Let's see. So if you have calipers, there's only 2 things you can measure, and what most people are going to measure. Let me get my calipers. There's only 2 things you can measure, and what most people are going to measure is they're going to measure this section nipple width. So this is, yeah, and technically sacks are measured in 64ths of an inch. So good luck with that on a calipers, whether it's, especially if it's, manual here. So, yeah, this comes in at, what is this measured in? Yeah, this is measured in tenths. So this is 7/10. This is 0.7. Yeah, 0.71. The problem is you don't want a sack that measures that. Your sack actually should be a little bit smaller in diameter. If we look here, you can see that the sack is actually smaller in diameter than the section nipple. If I get a sack that is larger than the section nipple, number one, it's not going to stay on there very well. And number two, it's going to make this much bigger. Now, I already said that this is the correct sack for this pen. How do I know? Esterbrook's take a number 16 size sack. So that I know. But if we look in the inside here, I don't know if we can see it. The inside of this pen has that little tray there. And then on the top, there we go. There's a good view. There's the lever. Now, if I fit a sack to the section nipple, there's no way a sack will ever fit in here. It just won't fit. Or now in this case, if it didn't, and this is kind of an unusual use case because Esterbrook used this little tray liner here for one very good reason. We can talk all we want about how that tray liner insulates the sack and prevents heat transfer from your hand and prevents blotting, yada yada yada. Esterbrook put it in there so that they could use the same size J-bar and the same size sack in all their pens. Like almost no, I can't think of any other manufacturer that went so far. So they have shorter pens. This is the full size J model. They have shorter pens. They all use the same size sack because they put this tray in, and a spacer in here, which bumps all this back. They only had to manufacture ever one size, well, for a long time, one size J-bar, 48 millimeters with a notch, so that when the lever comes up, it stops perpendicular, which means it's full compression. And Esterbrook sold to dealers, if you had a bad sack, they didn't sell you sacks. They sent you a section with a sack already pre-cut and measured to size. And it didn't matter. You would order it for LJ or SJ or J, and it already had a sack attached to it. And then you just shoved it in. Heated it up maybe and shoved it in, and that was it. Whereas other brands won't have that, so your sack length can differ. But it also means that you can put a larger sack than you really need in. And then the heat transfer thing does become an issue, because what happens is, so if I have this in here, if the sack is too big and it touches the walls of the barrel wall of the pen, as you're holding it, heat from your hand will transfer to the plastic, which then, if the sack is touching that, will transfer to the sack, which means if there's air inside the sack, it expands. And if air expands inside the sack, then it's going to push the ink out into the feed. And if the feed is already full, say you just filled it, or you're writing for a long period of time and it just keeps expanding, it's got to go somewhere if you're not writing fast enough, and it's going to end up in a blob of ink on the page. So, that being said, the best way to size a sack is to take your sack and see how it fits in the barrel. There's few exceptions to the rule. Esterbrook's primarily take 16s. Early Esterbrook's dollar pens take 18s. You cut them to fit. And the size refers to the diameter, not the length. So you always have to trim a sack. There, in almost all cases, and I can probably count on one hand that I can think of the number of times since I started this stream last, gosh, was it last January? It was last January. That I had a pen so long that I actually didn't have to cut the sack. So you always have to cut the sack. Like this one is, this is actually a pretty good fit. Now, there's varying opinions on how to determine the correct size. I have a colleague who says if he puts a sack in and he turns it upside down and it falls out, that's a good indicator. You know, and in this case, it's, you know, and if it's a little bit narrower in diameter than the section nipple, that's okay, because that means when we spread it out to fit over this, it'll be a nice tight fit. If it's too big and it's loose, then it's going to be sloppy, and you know, it's not going to be good. So I have a colleague says if he puts a sack in, it fits in the barrel, it's not touching the barrel walls. Like, this is pretty good. You know, and it'll be centered a little more when it's attached to the, and he holds it upside down and it falls out. But sometimes they don't fall out, right? I mean, if I had some talc on there, probably it would. But the other way is you just put it in there, you just kind of look at it. Now that's pretty good. Well, let's put something too big in it. I'm gonna move up 2 sizes. Here's an 18. Just to give you an idea. It's pretty hard to tell, but you can tell. Now you can tell. The 18 on my right here is much bigger. I mean, it still fits, but you can kind of see how it's excessive. I mean, it would work, but is it as long? So this one goes about 2/3 of the way down the lever. And this is a kind of another special use case too, because originally these have, you can get tapered sacks for these. I've kind of stopped using them because they just, if I put a 16 in here, not only is it not going to touch the inner wall of the pen, but it's going to go down much further. You had an Arcadia pen that you found at Antique Mall and got it for the purpose of using the gold nib in it. It was a small 14-karat stub, and you just ended up pulling the nib to put into a Noodler's Charlie. Wow. Got you curious to get more pens from which they are not working and start tinkering to fix them. Yeah. Juicy's right. The pen repair book by Marshall and Oldfield is the go-to repair book. Now, there's like at least 3 printings of it. I don't know. Is there a 4th printing? I don't know. There's at least three editions. Get it? I couldn't tell you what the difference between I have the 1st and 2nd edition. I couldn't tell you what the difference between the two of them are. Either one of them is good. There's a Frank Dubio book you might hear about. The Dubio book is good. Frank was a great guy. He was obviously a very skilled repairman. But some of the techniques he used are kind of frowned upon today. Here's this 18 in here. I mean, I'm really just jamming on it pretty hard to get it in there, and this is just a bad idea. So yeah, you want it easy to go in, reasonably sized, and so there's really no, you know, and I get this. Yeah, the Dubio book is like sort of out of print, and there was only one person that was actually carrying it, which was Pandemonium, and they're really not in business right now. There are 4 versions of the Oldfield book. Wow, I'm too behind. So yeah, I mean, I get emails practically weekly I've got this pen and the diameter of the section is, and they give me whatever measurement. And I look at it and go, I don't know. What's the barrel like? Because, sometimes there are things like this liner inside the barrel. Sometimes there's a weird lever or J-bar or something else cooking in there that makes it hard to get a sack in. Even though the barrel might be, huge, you might not be able to get, or maybe you've got a situation where you've got a pen that's got, for whatever reason, a really, really tiny section nipple. And it originally probably used a necked sack. So the sack was narrower at the nipple and then came out. So what I like people to do, and it's not just a sales pitch, is just get what we call the sack kit. And you got one each of, like, I think it starts at 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. There are sack sizes in between. There's a 17, there's a, there's a 15. But it gives you kind of an idea, and just, it sucks, I guess, if you've only got one pen and you don't know if you're going to do this, but that's really the best way to do it, because otherwise you're going to buy a sack, and who knows. But what I will tell you is, like, 85 to 90% of all the vintage pens you come across are going to take between a 14 and an 18. 14, 15, 16, 18. I mean, 17 when you're on the fence. 16's too small, 18's kind of and there are some pens that take specific sizes so that those in advance. Snorkels 14, touchdowns 15, Esterbrooks 16, early Esterbrooks 18. So those all work. But other pens, you kind of like, well, I can put 16s in a Skyline. Originally there was 16, like 16 and a half, 2 1/4 neck taper, but then the sack is really short. Like, I don't see the purpose. I can put a full size 16 in there, cut it to fit. I have more ink capacity. And wire rings is the only difference. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have mine at home. I really should have it here. I think it's got plastic rings. Does that justify an edition number change? Wire rings? All right, well, let's do this one. We're going to hold off on until I get the new. Yours is the 4th edition? I guess I should get one. Maybe I could sell the 1st and the 2nd edition. I don't need those, do I? Oh, wire rings inside a pen barrel? I thought you were talking about the Marshall and Oldfield book. Oh, Conway Stewart is the new edition. Yeah, so when you put this in here, and I always pull it out and I do this. Like, well, why doesn't it go all the way back to the end of the barrel? Well, because the tray comes up about here, and that's where the end of the J-bar sits, and there's a little spacer back here. So don't be fooled by in thinking that the Esterbrook J has any more capacity than an LJ or an SJ. And in fact, in certain situations, you could actually get more capacity out of an LJ or an SJ, for LJ for sure, than you do out of a J. Now, if you want to take that tray out, knock yourself out, it's not real fun to do. But then you would have to replace the J-bar. You go from a 48 to a 54. And then you can get more capacity. Did I yammer on enough about that? Yeah, so don't worry about if you think you're going to do it, just get yourself a couple of, I mean, I know they're not super cheap anymore, but they're also not ridiculously expensive. I mean, for $10 you can get probably, 3 of them. So in this case, we waste almost half the sack. And then that piece is cooked. Yeah, see, that goes down pretty far. That goes down basically as far as, well, in this case, there's a couple different versions of, probably there's some versions of Skylines that have a lever, and some have a hinged or J-bar, some are attached to the pressure bar. So in that case, that sack is actually bigger. But we also have to play the game of how effective is the filling system on each pen, whether or not this pen will effectively compress this sack enough to actually utilize it to capacity. You got to pop off. All right, Juicy. Take care. See you later. Yeah, so Esterbrooks are really pretty short. Put a broader stub nib on there and you're good luck. All right, we're going to clean these up. Oop. So hopefully that was helpful. If you got any more questions, just holler. You're heading out to the gym, Gary? All right. Have a great morning. Wherever you just got the nipple inside, instead of it looks like shaped like a Phillips head screwdriver would leave. Is it a cartridge pen? Maybe. Sack. Well, I don't know. Your pen went out this morning, Russell, by the way. All right, I should have done this yesterday, but I think I'm going to put a little bit of shellac on this breather tube. It was weird. There was a run on Parker 45s yesterday. Actually, the last couple of days, I think I sold like 4 or 5 of them. I got it in there and just going to give it a little twist around so we get the... Hello. How are you? Good. Just a little twist so that we can get the whatever shellac is on there. Spread out. I probably should leave that. We'll do this one first. All right. So there we go. And you can see Leafy, if you're still here, how much this sack stretched over the edge of that nipple. I mean, it's almost twice as wide here as it is here. So if we took it on this measurement, I mean, you saw how hard it was to fit the 18 in here. And if we were to measure this in 64ths of an inch, I bet you're looking at probably 20 64ths, 10 32nds, or at least, which would never fit in the barrel ever. So that's why I moved away, and we used to do that for years. We would say, measure the section nipple in 64ths of an inch, and then we'll kind of adjust from there. But it doesn't work very well that way. I wonder if we can get this on. I'm going to leave that for now. When that needs to dry. I could bump it off. Um, and I don't want to do, and then you won't know because, well, you'll know because it won't fill right. Picture sent. All right, I'll take a look. So this has started to shrink, this inner cap. So I'll put a little shellac on there and it will probably hold up all right. Having some problems with my email here. At least on this machine. Well, it'll come in. All right, so while we're waiting for that to come in, we'll wait on this. We'll do this on Monday. And we'll finish this one up on Monday, too. And test that. So I guess it'll be Tuesday before these are actually finally done. All right. Okay. All right, so that's our tray. Sorry, Russell, my email is not cooperating. Let's try it again. Well, I'll reply back to you when I get it. Let's find some other pens, huh? Because I think that's it for those consignment pens. The other ones look mint. I just gotta clean them, but this. All right. Guess since I'm a glutton for punishment, there's another Skyline. $51. Well, that's kind of a nice little pencil. Put that off to the side. Well, this I think we looked at before. Snorkel, I think, is somebody sealed the. Oh my God. Let's give another hack at that. Just because I love a little punishment. Canadian Watermans, maybe? This is kind of an ugly pen, but it's got a broad nib. Let's see what else we got. It's kind of ugly, but I like the nib on it. I need a new. I need a new shell. But let's do. This is a Mark II. Let's do that. There's an English 45. I'm betting that one's not going to come open. So what do we got? We got that's. We can fit one more in here. Those are kind of a rough, but okay looking safer balance. That's a nice mix of stuff, huh? 2 more vac fillers. I'm just going to throw in the vac filler pile. Ah, all right, Russell, your picture came in here. That's a very close picture, but I don't know what the heck I'm looking at. Well, I don't know. Hmm. More information necessary, I guess. I'm going to start with this because I want to eliminate it. I don't think it's opening. I think somebody sealed this thing up right tight. That's the end of the nipple. Yeah, it's hard to tell what I'm looking at, though. You're going to be brave and do your Admiral vac filler. I gave up on getting the practice pen apart, so I'll do the one that did open up. Well, I'll show you what I got. I'll show you what I got set aside. That's my pile. Well, I got it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 of them. White dot on the bottom. That was cool. That's got it on the bottom and on the cap. Big one, too. So that's like, that's $800 to $1,000 in repair right there if I send that off. Which means I got to sell half of them to recoup the cost. You have a Vigilant, but you need to find a replacement plunger rod. The coating was compromised and it rusted. Yeah. No, those 17, those are mine. And these are mine too. Oh, I got to look at that touchdown. I'm going to give up on this in a minute here. All pens are beautiful. Don't be mean to pens. This is cool. Thanks, YouTube algorithm. Translation, mine, all mine. Mm. So this section is destroyed. I can't wait to see what we come up with here, because this doesn't sound normal. Mm. What on earth is going on here? This is the feed. This is a feed. What is that? I think this pen is going in the parts bin. It's going to become somebody else's problem someday. All pens are beautiful except for this one. Hello from New York. The Lucky Curve arrived yesterday, safe and sound. Happy ink up. Yep, yeah, fit. Well, yeah, I hope so too. Oh, this is what the heck is going on here? The sack is just it's holding the feed hostage. Does anybody know anything about the Maybe Todd Swallow? I acquired one a few months ago and like it, but can't find much about this model on the web. Yeah, it's one of many of their... Hey, Glenn. One of their many models, bird models. Swan, of course, they're top of the line. Pen. Boy, this is something. Glenn, you're just in time for all the excitement. Oh, hey, there we go. I don't know what I'm looking at in here. Yeah, swallows are nice pens. All right, so now I can see the actual sack protector, which is, I mean, this is maybe, if you want to talk worst case scenario, this is kind of worst case scenario. Essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm cleaning a parts pen because I don't think this is coming out. Look at that. There's hardly a solid piece of... Oh, hey, that's good news. I wonder... I wonder if there's no sack protector here at all. I don't think there is. Problem is I think everything else is all boogered up here. I bet the screw is too. It looks like I can see the internal threads. I did. I just can't see the head of the screw. This pen has seen so much better days. Yeah, a pile of dust. Not the end of it either. All right, so before I accidentally sneeze and blow this all over, look at this. I'm going to spray some WD-40 in there. Again, I think this is a complete lost cause. Okay, let's pull these back up. These guys are done, so. All right, let's see if this works. If it does, clean it up, seal it up. Bob's your uncle. Yeah, there really needs to be a Maybe Todd book, doesn't there? There is. There is a Maybe Todd book. Maybe in America by David Moak. Yeah. I don't know how much it gets into the English stuff, but that's a hard book to find too. Although you can find it on, I think I have it on DVDs or DVD, CD-ROM somewhere. That didn't age well, did it? Kind of very, very, very fine. They got kind of a scratch to it. I think it's on the inside. Good thing my camera cuts off right about here. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's better. See if we're any closer. Oh yeah, there we go. It's firm. I think I'm doing another buff stick here. Do I have one? Could be better. I usually like to write. I don't know why I did this. I usually like to write down the page so I can see the progression. You know, whereas you can see up here, you can clearly see better ink flow and better writing. Here was just kind of anemic and it wasn't working very well. And as it goes down the page, I can kind of see the effect of different changes. I forgot to wipe off fibers in the nib. A little bit of feedback, but it's not too bad. Also, my bottle of ink is less than half now, so. Are there any pens you recommend looking out for that are good to start learning how to repair, especially in terms of lower cost, aka if it gets ruined, it is not a huge hit to the wallet? Yeah, lever fillers. Esterbrooks, Esterbrook J's, LJ's, SJ's. Why did this not? Yeah, J's, LJ's, SJ's. You know, you can even get into, as long as the nib is good, like wherevers aren't terrible. I mean, they're never going to win the most valuable pen contest, but if you break them, then you know, no big deal. As long as the nib is straight. That's what you really care about. Something's still not right with this. Okay, that was fun. Okay, so this is why you got to have multiple bulbs. I got this one cut a little bit deeper. This part creates suction. The barrel creates suction, so we know that's good. But we can't really blow through this. I mean, I'm pushing really hard, and this is what I'm getting. I can count the drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It should be streaming out of there. You can hear it. We're going to have to take it apart again. Which is also, could be part of this problem because it wasn't really, I mean, I wasn't really feeding any ink. I was just using up ink that was. Yeah, only buy pens where the nib is straight. Well, so here's the thing, and I know you asked this to Russell, but I'll go ahead and step in here. If you're just learning how to repair filling systems, repairing filling systems here, nibs here. It's a whole other animal. And it's a whole lot more work and practice and more things to go wrong. And the cost proposition to having somebody fix it is not there, particularly if it's a low dollar pen. So I mean, to have somebody straighten a nib, it's, that service you got to figure starts at $50, $60. Yeah, okay. So I've seen this before. So this was pretty gunked up. What we need to do is we need to pull this out. Because I actually can see some stuff on here that needs to come out. Yeah, and nib tools are a whole nother thing, right? So they're expensive. And you can spend a couple $100 easy on just the tools. If it's just out of alignment, can it be worked on safely? Anything more than that takes time and effort. You do, yeah. So this is what you shouldn't worry about. So if these are the tines, if the tines are straight, if I'm looking at the side, this is the side. If the tines are straight, okay. I mean, if you got this, avoid it. If we're looking at the top and we've got this going on, but the tines themselves are straight, you can push this down. You can work on that. That's a relatively easy skill, and it's one that far too many people don't want to learn, and I think you should learn it. You know, if they're not, it's really hard to do it. I guess to do it this way, it's easier. You know, it's not uncommon to see this. That's not a big deal. As long as these are straight, you can push this one down so it lines up. You know, if you've got this thing going on, that's a whole nother matter. But if they're straight and the gap is correct, and they're just up or down, no big deal. If they're overlapped like that, when you get that, you can get them straight. The problem is now the tines are going to be too tight at the end, which is another whole thing, which is another skill. There's a whole lot of skills involved in learning repair. But there's a lot of people out there on the forums that'll tell you, even new pens. Do it this way; it's easier on my fingers. You know, it's not uncommon for one tine to be slightly up and not perfect. You know, and even on like flexible nib pens, it almost doesn't matter because they're so flexible that when you touch this down on the paper, this one here is going to go up. The important thing is making sure that the feed is flush with the bottom of the nib. I mean, if you've got a gap, then that's a problem. But so many people think that if a tine is even remotely up, that it's a defective product, and it's really not the case. It's a skill that everybody should learn, because inevitably you're going to come across a pen that you just need a slight adjustment on, and you can do it with your fingers. You don't need tools. There we go. And so, as I suspected, it's all jammed up there. Now, it's mostly clear, which is why I was still able to blow through it, but it's all jammed up in there, which means it's probably jammed up pretty good in here too still. Yeah, if you're buying them on eBay and the seller avoids showing a good picture nib, that's, I guess it determines. It's a matter of what level of risk you're willing to take. I would go so far as to say that if you're buying a pen off of eBay, and it's not being sold by a pen dealer, not to say that all pen dealers are perfect, but if it's not being sold by a pen dealer, assume that the nib is not right and that it's going to need some work. You will probably be happily be surprised about 80% of the time, and 20% of the time, at least you set your expectations right. And that's the thing about vintage pens. It's, oh, there we go. Look at all that stuff coming out of there. Vintage pens on the whole aren't, see that much stuff. they're reasonably easy to work on. The problem is when you get to dealing with parts, because not everything is fixable. You've done some light to medium nib adjusting, but there are some pens I found that are low-cost pens with some really messed up nibs, so got it for sure to avoid those for now. And here's the thing. So this is good. This is good, Leafy. If you've done some nib adjustments and you've done these tying up, tying down things, okay? There are other adjustments that you can learn. I suggest you, if you can, if you're in the U.S., try to get to a pen show where Richard Binder or Linda Kennedy are doing their nib workshop, smoothing workshop. It's worth your time. Richard is who I trained under. I learned from Richard, so that's, but you're like halfway there. If you get something that's not right, learn from it. There's so many people that they get something and it's not right and they just don't want to try. And then they go online and they whine and complain about it. And I say, if it's a hobby and you screw something up, great. As long as you screw it up with the understanding that, number one, you knew enough to be dangerous beforehand, so you're not taking a $1,000 pen and ripping it apart. But, you got to learn something from it. If you do, did you really lose? I say no. As long as you remember next time not to do that. And it's difficult with pens because, there's hundreds of different kinds. And even within the same model, there can be multiple variations of how to get pens apart. So just because it worked out right the last time you worked on a Parker 51 doesn't mean the one that you got is going to open the same way. Now, with Esterbrooks, yeah, pretty much they're all the same. You've been debating going to the upcoming California Pen Show? You have to go. I mean, the only reason I don't go is because I can't get there in a cost-effective manner. I mean, for me to fly from Wisconsin and spend the money to get there, it just doesn't make sense for me. I mean, I'm out. I mean, even my trip to Baltimore coming up in a month is already pushing. What is it? Jeez, it's well over $1,000 for me to go to Baltimore. It'd probably be double that for me to get to the California show. If you're anywhere in the vicinity, and you haven't been, if you haven't been to a show for sure, I mean, it's going to be overwhelming. So, I'll give you that warning. If you're like me and you don't do well around lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of people, just understand that going in. It's, it's worth it to go. It totally is. I don't know if there's any nib seminars there, and is the Atlanta show good? Yeah, it's not a bad show. We used to love going to that show for a number of reasons. It was always, for us, it signaled the first start of spring, and Jimmy puts on a great show. There we go. I think that's going to be better. Yeah, I always liked the Atlanta show. There's very few I mean, there's very few I don't like. Um, and I'm not qualified anymore to say, XYZ show was terrible because I haven't been to it in 10 years. And shows evolve and shows get better and shows get new management. And because that's a whole thing. People run shows and sometimes some people do that and that's what they do, But Atlanta's a good show. Very hospitable. If you're coming from a northern climate, you welcome Atlanta in April. I think it's still in April, isn't it? Okay, I still have a little back pressure, but it feels better. But yeah, California is it's the West Coast DC. Things to keep in mind if things aren't going right, working on a pen, stop, step away, and try again later. Yeah, getting frustrated is no good. Yeah, I always say, if there's anything other than like an even keel for emotions, that includes ups too, ups and downs. If you're frustrated, you're mad, if you've got a headache, yeah, end of March, yeah, beginning of April, yeah. Mad, sad, headache, you just don't feel well, you got the cold, you got a flu, you stubbed your toe in the morning, you ate, you ran out of coffee too early. Or the reverse. You had a really, really good day. You got a good piece of mail. You got a bonus in your check, and you're feeling all up. Things like that. They can make you feel like like fearless, and then like anything that you can do anything, and then you do things in pen repair that you shouldn't be doing. So, oh, well, I'm having a good day. Everything's going right for me today. Oh, I can get this pen apart and crack. And sometimes I can repair pens some days 8 hours a day, 10 hours. I don't, but I could. And there are some days that after 20 minutes, I go, I'm done. I really don't want to do this anymore. And that you got to learn to stop, because keep in mind that every pen in this tray is at least 75 years old, give or take, right? This one's a little newer, but not by much, right? 75 years old, and sometimes you're working with 100-year-old pens. Those Conklin Crescents I had at the beginning of the stream. They're 100 years old, easy, right? They have lived this long just the way they are. If you have to put it down and pick it up tomorrow, the next day, this weekend, next week, next month, 6 months from now, it's not in any worse shape. It can wait. I have a pile over on that side of my bench of pens that are like this close to being done, but they frustrate the bejesus out of me. I'm looking at you, Parker 51 cap jewels. Inner caps that don't come out. And usually what I do is I get trays. I get my slaughter trays like this, and they have covers. And if something doesn't go right, and I tried it a few times, it goes in the tray. And then I get these trays that get built up over time. And, you know, instead of just throwing them back in the parts bin, I can look and I say, okay, well, I've got these pens, and you know, I might forget 6 months, a year from now, I might forget what the hassle was. But in the meantime, I've maybe repaired 50 more of those, 100 more of those. Maybe I got a different perspective. And 7 times out of 10, I come at it the second time or the 5th time, I pull it out of the tray, I go, I can fix that. 30% of the time, they're poopers. They're crappy pens. There's something wrong with it, and you know, you've got to look at it in a different way. You say, okay, well, that doesn't work. I'm gonna have to replace the part instead of fixing it. Or it becomes a parts pen, and guess what? That's how you develop a bin of parts. Now, if you don't want to be a pen repair person and stock a ton of pens, well, then that's a different story. But, you know, for me, I look at it like, well, you know, if any of these don't work, well, with the exception of this, because this is a client's pen, you know, if any of these other pens don't work, there's a problem with them, guess what? You know, if this doesn't work out, great. Now I got a great cap. I got a good barrel. You know, same here. Nice cap. It's got a little brassing on there, but you know what? I could practice gold plating on this if I wanted to. You know, good nibs on all of them. Maybe this, you know, the section's cracked on this. If this pen doesn't pan out, I got a sad feeling it's probably not going to pan out. Well, guess what? I got a pretty decent cap here. I got a nice nib. I bet that feed is salvageable. The section's crappy, but I've got this ring. I've got this trim ring, which I need all the time. You wouldn't believe how many touchdowns and snorkels are missing this stinking little ring. I go, great. I didn't have to pay for a parts pen. I already bought that. It's a sunk cost. But there's not a lot of people who want to, you know, I think there's a lot of people who are being, you know, and by kids, I mean like literally anybody younger than me, you know, were brought up and that, you know, everybody's a winner. Everybody wins. And there's no, you know, there's no situation where, oops, that happened yesterday too. You know, where you're going to fail, and failure in pen repair isn't bad. Just don't do it twice. Learn the first time, and then it won't happen again. It's not really a Brian rant. Dang it. This is aggravating me to no end here. That like never happens. Usually when it's, yeah, I'm getting to that point now. I got to quit in 2 minutes anyway. Usually when this happens, and I might just let this, see, that was kind of a dumb idea. Usually when this happens, it means that you need to rough up this section nipple. And see, now I got, and this is just the point. I'm going to quit because I now have, I don't mind ink, but when I get shellac on my fingers, then everything you touch gets a little dab of shellac on it, and then you got to clean that up. And So this is going to have to, I'm going to let this dry. And then tomorrow we're just going to sand this down a little bit. We got to make it rough. It's reminding you of training in industrial design. Fail fast, fail often. As long as you learn and take the lessons forward, it's not a loss. Exactly. I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, man, I've broken a lot of pens. I've broken some on this stream too. Sometimes they fall. And most of the time now, when I break a pen, it's not because I did something wrong. It's because the pen had an inherent flaw that I perhaps knew it was going to happen. I mean, I can count on probably one hand in the last year, and I've restored a boatload of pens on this stream. A couple times were because I was feeling a little cocky that day and I did something I shouldn't, and it didn't work out for me, and those pens are in the bin, and sometimes it was something I thought I knew, and I'm a little hard-headed sometimes, and it didn't pan out. So the more you repair, the less you break, but you're going to break something. And some people just don't want to break anything. And I get that. Like, don't start with, grandpa's oversized balance or, a Pelican M800 or something. Don't absolutely never start with a family pen unless you know what you're doing. I mean, I don't have any family pens anymore. The only person left in my family is my mom. So, she doesn't have any that she knows of anyway. If she did, she'd give them to me. I'd be nervous working on them. I'd send them to somebody else. I almost would. I mean, especially if it's a vac filler or something, I certainly would. But, I don't want to be responsible for, because you have that emotion. You go, oh, well, cool. This is mom's pen. This is grandma's pen. This is dad's pen, grandpa's pen. And you're thinking about things you shouldn't be thinking about while you're repairing that pen. What did grandpa write with this? Oh, I miss him. Emotions. Those are emotions. You don't need emotions in repairing pens. You need a level head. That's what you need. And we're here at 5. I know Lisa's been sending me texts, and I had to stop there for a second. I had to text her back because I don't know why she does it. She knows I stream. She's literally across the hall. She apparently wants to go out for pizza tonight. Apparently try this new place that we haven't been to. Yes, did you check her? And she came in. And so I suspect there's more to this. I don't know if this means we're going out with somebody, but she left her desk, walked across the hall, opened the door, said, check your text. Okay. And sent me another text. Yes. Are you want to go? Yeah, that's fine. So I got to get cleaned up. I can't go anywhere like this. I've probably consumed who knows how much shellac in my life, but I don't want to continue doing that as a regular basis. So anyway, that's it, Leafy. I hope you got something good out of that. Everybody else listening. That's my philosophy on pen repair. Always happy to expand on that. You're welcome. Ask anytime. I'm here Monday through Thursday, 2 to 5, give or take. Tomorrow, actually, we're early. Remember, tomorrow we're early, 1 to 4 on Thursdays. So tomorrow we'll hopefully get that touchdown fixed, and then we'll continue on with the rest of these. I think we'll briefly look at, what, we'll do that touchdown, that blue touchdown, while we're waiting for other stuff to come apart. We'll do that. Do we have, we've got a couple of these other consignment pens the Esterbrook and the Skylines we can put together, and we'll test those, and we'll go from there. So, I'm being invaded. I'm being invaded by someone who desperately wants pizza.
All of a sudden, I have a craving.
Okay. Well, I was a little worried because you come in and you ask, Do you want check your text and then you're texting me again? Do you want,
Well,
did you read?
otherwise I got to figure out what I'm making for dinner. And
So
hey,
I,
everybody.
I'm thinking, like, are we going out to eat with somebody? What's the deal? Why are we doing this? We're not. Okay.
Because it's down the street from our house. We've talked about we
Oh,
want to explore,
yeah, that place.
and we
yeah,
haven't been there in over a year.
I've never actually been there.
There we go. All right.
So pizza it is. Gotta go.
You got banned?
No, that's a spammer.
Okay.
So anyway, all right. That's it for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you tomorrow, 1:00, 1 to 4. The early day on Thursday. And have a great evening, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Be kind, be well, and we'll see you tomorrow.